It's got to be the Pacific Division, yeah.
And we'll go bottom up.
Sure.
Sure. Well, I guess let's dive into that tank.
Yes, the Shark Tank, the San Jose Sharks. I think expectations are very low for this team.
Yes.
But like we said last year, there is some optimism.
Oh, plenty to be optimistic about. I think everyone wants to see what's going to happen in Macklin Celebrini' second NHL season. He was an absolute stud last year. You know what? I think this year is the true breakout year. He goes over a point per game, putting him in place with all those other great young stars of the past.
Wouldn't be surprised. He sure is a young talent. He had 63 points in 70 games, but he leads a young trio of stars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Will Smith, people are looking at him to take a step forward this year as well. Very talented player.
Yeah, a bit of a slow start, but he was pretty good down the stretch, especially him and Celebrini on that power play looking good together.
I love William Eklund. He's another fine young player there. But where does Michael Misa fit in?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to play the whole year. Probably going to give the guy a 9-game look and then reassess from there, but definitely an exciting player for the future.
I kind of like what Mike Greer did by bringing in some veteran players, Jeff Skinner, Dmitry Orlov, Klingberg, Leddy. I know these guys aren't going to move the needle much in San Jose, but they do provide a nice veteran presence.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long their presence will be there, though. A lot of these guys are in expiring deals, 10 pending UFAs. I think they're going to be one of those hot places at the deadline, so they're going to be going for the bottom, I think, this year.
Yeah, I am curious to see what Yaroslav Askarov has to offer between the pipes. This is a very highly touted goalie prospect. He's going to have a chance to take the reins as the number one. If he does falter or needs a little help, Alex Nedeljkovic is a pretty serviceable backup as well.
Yeah, nice to have some veteran support in the crease as well, because Askarov really is unproven at the NHL level.
So, no playoffs, but brighter days ahead, and who knows, maybe they could get Gavin McKenna.
Yeah, and even if they don't, this is supposed to be a really deep draft, especially at the top, so San Jose is going to add another great piece.
Let's move along and talk about the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, here's a team that I don't get excited about. Nothing jumps off the page when you look at this roster. Not a single elite player on this team.
They have Lane Lambert behind the bench, and surely he'll be trying to get the most out of his young players, Matty Beniers and Shane Wright.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we said the same thing last year. They need more from those two guys. And so far, we haven't really seen them become those offensive breakout stars that they need to be on this team.
Yeah, and that's the thing, John. I think a guy like Matt Beniers is going to have to be the catalyst and have a breakout season, maybe get to like 60, 70 points if this team really wants to be competitive.
They still have my boy from Stratford, Ontario, Jared McCann. I'm sure he'll have a great year this season, maybe 30 goals.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't see him ever getting 40 again, but he's probably good for about 30 goals, which is, on an offense-starved team, pretty crucial.
And they have their veterans, Jordan Eberle and Jaden Schwartz, who are both back.
I like the addition of Mason Marchment as well in the offseason. He's going to bring some extra punch, both physically and on the scoreboard as well.
But they have a lot of free agents coming up, don't they?
Yeah, so very similar situation to San Jose. I think a lot of these guys, if the season goes south, they could be sent packing. Eberle, Schwartz, Marchment, Tolvanen, and Alexiak. All guys that would be probably pretty nice pickups at the deadline, UFAs.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like this team's defense. I mean, they are a little offensively starved, but Vince Dunn, Adam Larson, Brandon Montour, these are all pretty decent defensemen. So the depth there, I don't think, is where their problem lies.
Nice flashes from Riker Evans last year as well. He's another guy with some puck-moving ability.
And what about in net?
Yeah, well, this is funny. They've got one of the better value goalies and maybe the worst value goalie in the NHL. Let's start with the bad one. It just has not worked out for Philip Grubauer in Seattle. 2 more years at $5.9 million. They don't know what to do with this guy. He's just kind of stuck in there as the backup, but he has been sub-NHL level most of that contract.
Yes, on the flip side of that, Joey Decord has had a very solid run at a deal 5x5. I think that's pretty okay for a guy, but he needs to maintain his level of play if this team is going to be competitive.
Yeah, and another blow to the team's hopes early on. Capo Caco, he's out 6 weeks with a broken hand on it. A team that's already on the margins, that's going to be tough to overcome. The only thing I'll say in their benefit is that they are in probably the weakest division in hockey, so you never know. They made the playoffs a couple of seasons ago. Maybe they get hot and sneak in again.
Speaking of hot teams, let's talk about the Calgary Flames. Perhaps no team overachieved more last year than Calgary. What do you guys think going into this season?
I think much the same way I thought about them last year. As you guys may remember, I was quite down on the Calgary
You
Flames.
were, Mark. They had 96 points.
It was amazing what they did, but you know what? That was like everything went their way last year. I just feel like Dustin Wolf, he can't keep this up for another season. The sophomore jinx, and he has no support. Their backup goaltending situation right now, Devin Cooley or Ivan Prosvetov. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster right there.
I love Wolf, but I think he needs a little more help than that.
Yeah, it's a lot to put on the shoulders of a sophomore goalie. And I mean, they don't really have the center depth, like at all. I would say Nazem Kadri, I mean, I think he's a good player, but he is not a number one center. And then Michael Backlund as your 2C. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
That's true. They still have the veterans in Huberdeau and Blake Coleman. But, Mark, what about their young players?
Well, I do think that Matt Coronado is a player to get excited about. He was pretty good last year. I think he's in line for a breakout this year. I could see him cracking 60, maybe even approaching 70 points with the right deployment.
Yeah, also Connor Zary had a pretty decent year last year. If he could take a step forward and maybe approach 50 points, they would be really happy to see that. The big name people are talking about on the back end, though, Zane Parekh. This kid, he could be the real deal on D.
Yeah, will he be the Lane Hudson for the Calgary Flames this year? Maybe a bit much to ask for, but I could see him taking over the PP1 duties at some point.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I really do like Mackenzie Weegar back there in the blue line, and I'm so curious, where does Rasmus Anderson end up?
It sounds like he's going to end up on another team by the end of the season. There were some attempts made at re-signing him. He doesn't seem interested. I think he's going to end up on a contender by the end of the year.
So how are things going to shake down for the Calgary Flames? Do you think they make the playoffs?
Ooh, I mean, I don't know. Like we just said with Seattle, it is a weak division. Maybe they sneak in, but I don't really like this team's chances.
Yeah, neither do I. Let's shift to a team that I think is going to be flying a little bit more high up, and that's the Anaheim Ducks. So much young talent. I think this is the breakout season for Leo Carlsson. They've kind of eased him in his first 2 NHL seasons. I think this is going to be a great year for him. He's going to get at least 60 points playing first-line minutes.
And big news recently, they have re-signed Mason McTavish.
Yes.
He's a very important piece.
That's their future and current 2C. That's a nice 1-2 punch down the middle.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in Mason McTavish. I think he's going to be a great player for this team for years to come. I also like Cutter Gauthier. I like his goal-scoring ability. I think he could have a nice season himself.
Yeah, slow start last year, but really good in the second half.
I've always liked the blend of veterans that the Ducks have.
Yeah, and they continued working towards that this offseason, picking up Chris Kreider pretty much for nothing, signing Mikhail Granlund. That stabilizes things down the middle if they need him there. They already had guys like Strome and Killorn and the grit on the back end. Trouba, the captain.
Yeah.
Radko Gudas.
Yeah, Trouba and Gudas are going to be punishing back there. But they also have some really nice young defensemen.
For sure. I mean, Jackson Lacombe, he really came on last year. Surprised a lot of people because Owen Zellweger was the guy that people were really looking to take a step forward. So this year it'll be interesting to see which one of them emerges as sort of the young and up-and-coming D-man there.
Well, it's funny you thought Zellweger because for me, Mintyukov was their best defensive prospect going into last season. The fact that it's a debate and they're all looking pretty promising is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So a good problem to have.
John Gibson is, of course, gone. Dostal will become the full-time netminder. And Joe Quenneville is back in the NHL. What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, the guy was always a highly regarded coach. Obviously, the issues in Chicago led to him having to take a step away from the game. But I, for one, am pretty intrigued to see what he can do with this high-flying young Ducks squad.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity for him and for the Ducks. Interesting to see what we're going to get out of them this year. I would say, they could easily sneak into that 3 spot if they can really take a big step forward this year.
Yeah, it's pretty wide open in the Pacific, and there is a lot of potential on that team, so it could be a fun year in Anaheim.
Next, let's talk about the Vancouver Canucks. They missed the playoffs last year. What a dysfunctional season. JT Miller, of course, was traded. I think this story begins, and maybe it ends, with Elias Pettersson. Here's a guy, he had 102 points. Then he had 89. Last year, he had 45 points in 64 games. What can we expect out of him?
I don't know. That's the thing. The range of possibilities is just so immense. It's going to come down to, I think, just how is he feeling mentally, physically, is he fully recovered from some of the nagging injuries that have plagued him in previous seasons. But I think the conditions are there. They got rid of the awkward situation. He has no excuses. He needs to step up. Otherwise, things could get ugly in Vancouver.
John, you were really worried about their center depth.
Yes, especially if Pettersson cannot return to form. Sometimes I feel like Pettersson might be a better winger because he's just so talented, but may not be the best in the faceoff dot or on the other side of the puck. Philip Hedl, I think, is a pretty good guy, but of course is prone to injury. So after that, it gets very thin.
And what about the wingers, Mark?
Well, just to touch on Hedl, I think that no one's ever doubted his potential, but just the concussion histories, players with concussion histories, he could be one hit away from being out of the league. And if that's your 2C and you got questions at 1C, that's a recipe for disaster right there. On the wing, though, I do like their wingers. They've got a nice blend of grit and skill. Obviously, bringing back Brock Besser, Connor Garland, that was important. But I like the addition of Evander Kane, got him for nothing. Not sure what he has left, but I think he's a hometown guy. He's going to give it what he has, bring some physicality. Jake DeBrusk is another player who can rack up some hits, score some goals for you. And of course, Mr. Hit, Kiefer Sherwood, NHL record 462 hits last year. I think that if Vancouver's going to be effective, they want to kind of take that Calgary Flames blueprint and be more of a workman-like team and try to grind down their opponents and not try to outskill them.
They do have a new face behind the bench.
Yes, Adam Foote got his foot in the door there.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. Obviously, he should be able to have a good idea of how to run a team's defense, you would think.
And that defense is led by Quinn Hughes. He is the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, nervous times in Vancouver this summer. Some rumblings that Quinn might want to go join his brothers in New Jersey. So there's another story just lingering in the background in Vancouver.
I think Philip Hronek, he didn't have as good a year last year, but a couple of years ago he was pretty good. So if he could find his game and get back to that form, I think that would be a big improvement for the team too.
One Pettersson that's not a question mark is Marcus Pettersson. They brought him in last year. I think he's really going to solidify that top four. Very honest player, good defensively, physical. Every team needs a guy like him.
Yeah, I mean, we would be very remiss if we did not mention Thatcher Demko. I mean, this is a big question mark for this team. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, we talked a lot about this in our summer recap show. He certainly has the talent. The big question is, can he stay healthy?
Yeah, and that's the thing with Vancouver. That's kind of the theme of their season. A lot of things have to go right after a season where everything went wrong. And I'm just not convinced that they're going to get all of those things to fall their way. So I think in the end, they miss out on the playoffs yet again.
Next up, let's talk about the Los Angeles Kings. And we found out their captain, Anze Kopitar, it will be his last season.
Yes, difficult guy to replace. I mean, one of the great two-way centers of all time, really. I mean, I love Kopitar. They are hoping for Quinton Byfield to take a step forward to maybe fill those shoes. He won't have to do it this year, but certainly by next year, he's got to take a step forward.
Obviously, Drew Doughty is a lot longer in the tooth now.
Yeah, he is now 35 years old. He's dealt with injuries over the last few years here. They've got another guy, though, much in the same way that they expect Byfield to step in for Kopitar. Young Brant Clark is expected to become the next stud D in Los Angeles. Mixed reviews so far, but he's still young and defensemen do take longer to develop.
Yes, again, big shoes to fill for Brant Clark. Darcy Kemper had an amazing season last year. I believe he was third for Vezina ballot voting. Can he replicate that kind of season again? I don't know. That is a lot to ask.
He will have a new backup. Anton Forsberg will be backing him up.
Yeah, I see that you backed right out of that question, Jeff. I will address it. There's no way that Kemper's going to do 9.22 and a 2.02 GAA again. Regression is a certainty. The only question is how much will he regress and how much will that hurt the Los Angeles Kings playoff hopes?
Yeah, I mean, I still like some of their offensive pieces, though. Adrian Kempe, obviously a great goal scorer. Kevin Fiala, he is a real play driver. And Andrei Kuzmenko. He had a decent run with LA last season.
He fit in well.
Yeah, he fit in pretty well. So these are nice pieces, and they can provide some real offense there.
But this team has been put out 4 years in a row by the Edmonton Oilers. They did make some changes in the offseason. Is it enough to put them over?
I don't know. I look at these changes, and I'm a little bit puzzled, to be honest. So they bring in Dumoulin and Ceci on the back end. I mean, these are guys that are definitely, their best years are behind them. And then Corey Perry and Yoel Armia. Now, maybe Corey Perry means they're guaranteed to lose in the finals this year, but I don't know.
Now he's hurt.
And he's hurt. Well, yeah, the guy's like 57 years old. Of course he's hurt. I mean, he's had an amazing career, but signing Corey Perry just didn't seem like the answer in Los Angeles. Quick question for you guys. What do Philip Deneau, Joel Edmondson, Corey Perry, and Yoel Armia all have in common?
They are all were members of the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, that 2021 team that went to the finals. No one thought it would happen. Well, guess who the assistant GM is in LA?
Mark Bergevin.
That's right, Mark
biceps.
Bergevin. So I think he might be having a little bit too much influence in the LA front office, and I just don't like this strategy. Veteran-heavy team trending down. I know they want to send Kopitar out on a winning season, but I'm not feeling good about what's going on in LA.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like a team whose best days are behind them. I do think they will make the playoffs. They were in the second spot last year. I kind of have them in the third spot this year, but I think they're a decent team. But they're not championship caliber.
I agree. I think they're a playoff team pretty comfortably, but again, I think it's going to be another first-round exit for the LA Kings.
All right, let's move along to the cream of the crop of the Pacific Division. And let's begin with the Edmonton Oilers.
Really? The Oilers?
Yes, they fell just short of the Stanley Cup again.
Yeah.
What do you think this season has in store? Obviously, the big story is Connor McDavid is not signed yet.
Yeah, a lot of nervous people in Edmonton right now. Will he stay? And if he does stay, how long will he stay? I think this season could go a long way in answering that question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the Edmonton Oilers this season. And, it's the kind of pressure you have to win the cup. You have to win the cup. So it's a difficult thing to do. If they don't do it, I don't think it would be crazy for McDavid to walk.
What does he put up this year, guys? 120? 140 points?
I mean, he could score 160 points. It wouldn't matter. If this team doesn't win the cup, then there's going to be a lot of disappointment in Edmonton, and the Connor McDavid era could be ending.
Well, we know for certain that the Leon Draisaitl era is not ending. And I mean, it's arguable that he certainly had the better season last year, objectively. Only guy to score 50 goals. So he will be there no matter what. And we have seen him put his team on his back when McDavid has been out or not at his best. So even without McDavid, I think this is still a great team. But we know for 100% fact they will have both of these horses going into this season.
Zach Hyman begins the season injured.
Yeah, so the wrist injury that he sustained at the end of last year's season in the playoffs, still not fully healed. Looks like he'll be back probably by November, though. So I guess the real question is, what Zach Hyman are we going to get? Now, remember last year he had a slow start. This year, no camp, a year older, and he's a goal scorer with a bad wrist. This could be an issue. He might not be the Zach Hyman we remember.
What do we think of the Oilers' depth scoring? They did bring in Andrew Mangiapane.
Yeah, I like Mangiapane. He's a pretty decent scorer. I think Nuge is still there as the 2C and can also play the wing. He is a little bit older, as is much of this team. I mean, this is kind of an aging team. So it's hard to know what to expect. They do have a few young players, Matthew Savoy and Isaac Howard, a Hobie Baker Award winner. So these are some guys that might be able to fill some of those roles.
Yeah, Savoy especially, I think he really needs to work out. You remember that they gave up a very, very solid player, one Ryan McLeod last year, who scored 53 points in Buffalo. I think they could have really used that offense last year in Edmonton.
And how about the blue line in Edmonton?
Yeah, the blue line still anchored by Evan Bouchard, got a brand new contract. Kind of a whipping boy, though. People in Edmonton, I don't know what they expect out of this guy, but they want more, I guess, for the money he's making. And the big question, though, is Ekholm. Is he going to be healthy for a full year? What's left in the tank? He's getting older, and he plays heavy minutes for that team.
Absolutely, he does. And, I mean, you still got Darnell Nurse there. He's also getting a lot of money and probably doesn't provide what the team would hope for. They need Jake Wallman to take another step forward this year to really bolster that decor.
And they're running back the same goaltenders, Skinner and Pickard. Are you surprised by this?
It's insanity. It's actually the definition of insanity. They're going to try it again with these two goalies who I just don't think are cup caliber goalies. And I don't see anyone coming to the rescue on a cap-strapped team. Not really any great goalies. The Carter Hart rumors have already been shot down, so I don't like this. They got to find an answer in net.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Did not look good in the final, swapping out your goalies like that. So they're going to need to do something if they really want to win the cup this year.
Yeah, let's swing back to forwards. One more thing. A couple guys. I think Podkolzin or Trent Frederick. One of these two guys is going to get top 6 deployment and could have a breakout season. I think they really want it to be Trent Frederick. He's got that really long, kind of weird contract. A lot of Edmonton people were shaking their heads over that one. But these are the kind of guys you need in playoff time. Physical.
No doubt it'll be an exciting year in Edmonton. It's pretty much cup or bust.
Yeah, so last year's Pacific Division crown went to the Vegas Golden Knights. We have them back at the top again. This is such a deep team with its forward group. Obviously, this year adding Mitchell Marner.
Wow.
Yeah, so big move there. We can expect some big things out of him, I would think.
Yeah, I like I said in the summer show, I can't wait to see what he and Eichel can do together. I think their skill sets are going to mesh really well.
They also have Tomas Hertl. He is always a threat. I love Mark Stone.
Yes, of course. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year. I really liked the contribution they got from Pavel Dorofeyev last year. He got 35 goals.
That's a very quiet 35 goals, I thought.
Yeah, so there is no lack of offensive depth on this
Well, let's
team.
have a little shout out to Wild Bill Carlson, former 40-goal man. I know he's not what he used to be offensively, but still a very solid contributor on both ends of the ice.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They've got Riley, they've got Sod, but the real strength of this team is that blue line.
I don't know. Is it though with Pietrangelo now out for the year? I know there's talk that
That's
he
a
could
big
return for the
loss.
playoffs, but that's a
Yes.
massive hole in their lineup.
He will be missed.
Yeah, I mean, Theodore, absolutely, he had a great campaign last year. He was hurt for a little bit, but he was on pace for 70-plus points. So if he can maintain that level of production, that's huge for this team.
Yeah, I also really like Noah Hannafin, chips in some offense, steadying his own end. And then the rest of their D, just a bunch of big, mean, like monsters back there, right? You got guys like Braden McNabb. They bring in Jeremy Lauzon, another big hitter.
Monster.
Yeah, Caden Korzak, a young defenseman. I think he kind of finally becomes an NHL regular. He's going to have to take up some more minutes now with Pietrangelo out of the scene.
And how about their tandem in net, John? Aiden Hill and Schmid. Schmid
Yeah.
is the backup this year.
Yeah, that's right. Not the most inspiring. I mean, I would say that this is the team's weak spot. Aiden Hill obviously has a cup under his belt, so we know he can do it, but, I am not super confident in that. That's
Yeah.
probably their weak spot.
They might Schmid a little bit of help. I heard Carter Hart might be heading to town, though. He's one of the guys rumored.
Yeah. A lot of rumors surrounding Carter Hart, but I think Vegas may need to address this if they really want to be a solid cup contender.
So that wraps up the Pacific Division.